Okay, it's not changed on my thing. All right, I'm going to turn my camera off until I find the right photo
No worries.
because that one's fixed.
Yeah, that switched there.
Right.
Well, I can't seem to find my notes from a couple weeks ago, Blair, where you went through all your regimen. My shoulder, they do not have to do surgery on it. Everything is intact, but there's a pocket of fluid in there. And he said, you'll experience pain for a year.
Oh, okay.
So I would love to hear your regimen of what you take every day so I can rebuild this.
Well, I have when I had the bad pain before I got my hip operated on, I 2 seconds, I gotta let people in. I have um I got red light therapy. That's one of the key elements that I went and did. So red light therapy. And now I'm finding that there's some doctors that are recommending a red light therapy, methylene blue, and something else. And I forget what this something else is, something I'm not doing. But the whole thing with cottage cheese before you go to bed
Hmm.
is one of the things that reduces, well, it doesn't reduce it, it actually stops muscle cannibalization after the age of um, between 45 and 55. So your body will reduce your muscle mass naturally. And cottage cheese will stop that. And ricotta cheese will increase muscle mass even without exercise. At least that's the what one of the doctors was saying in a study that they did. So just saying, and that takes about a third of a cup of ricotta cheese daily, and
Oh, that's a lot.
a third of a cup, not really.
I thought I wrote down a tablespoon, which,
No, no, that's a tablespoon of cottage cheese, not ricotta. Cottage cheese is a tablespoon of cottage cheese before you go to bed, like
when,
30 to 90 minutes before.
oh, not right before you go to bed, but in the evening.
Yeah, like preferably 30 to 90 minutes before you go to bed.
Right.
That is the recipe for a great night's sleep. Turkey, cottage cheese, magnesium.
Any special magnesium or just
Yeah,
magnesium?
the bicerate, Patty, you know how to pronounce that one.
Citrate, magnesium citrate.
Bicitrate. I get magnesium bicitrate. So, and that was one of the ones, magnesium citrate and magnesium bicitrate were the two that were recommended on the show that I was watching from a neuroscientist. And he said, don't bother with the straight magnesium. It doesn't metabolize well.
Right.
I love it. Throw in some animal antibiotics out here in the Sand Hills of Nebraska, and we're self-medicating, but we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
You're
Are we
welcome.
ready to get started, Blair?
No.
No, we're not.
We're not?
Well,
I'm asking.
Oh, I
Are
said
we?
we are.
Oh,
We're
I didn't
ready to
hear
go.
that. Okay, Tim, do you
All
want to
right,
take us away here?
for sure. All right. Well, that was pretty cool for all you out there on YouTube. You got a little bit of health
Power
perks
Hour.
that Blair's using. What's that, Shane?
Dr. Blair's Power Hour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right,
really.
Dr. Blair.
Yeah.
Love it. Just a couple announcements tonight. I say tonight because it is after 6 o'clock here, and I know for many of you it's later than that. So, just a couple announcements before we kick things off. I want to remind everybody out there that Blair has his insider notes. This is an opportunity to get all of the notes that we prepare for the episodes here at the Blair Dunkley Experience. We like this to be experiential. We keep this very much in flow with where the conversation goes. That's the best way, to get these mind models in. And so a lot of times we don't have an opportunity to go really deep into the material that we've prepped. And so this is an opportunity to get the in-depth look into the mind models and some of the content that we don't actually cover here on the Blair Dunkley Experience. So it's a great way to continue your learning, also to get some extra perks and things that Blair puts out here and there. It starts with episode 318. We are currently on episode 362, so there is quite a bit of great material there already, and it will continue to come. So if you'd like to get your hands on Blair's Insider Notes, you can do that by going to www.blairdunkly.com/BD-insider-notes. It is $25 a year, $300 a year, well worth it to take a deep dive and to be able to get all the perks that come with the Blair Dunkley Experience here. Also, Blair has his Mind Model Mastery Secrets podcast. There are 2 episodes weekly being dropped, one on Monday, and that is usually a topic that is kind of a mystery. It's week dependent. They pick a topic, so it's kind of fun to pop on and see what the podcast is talking about on Mondays. And then Thursdays are usually a spinoff. That's the next day that the episodes are dropped. That is going to be a spinoff of what we talk about on Tuesday night here at the Blair Dunkley Experience. So my Model Mastery Secrets podcast is a great place to, again, learn a little bit more about the mind models. There's so much wealth of information. And you can find the podcast by either going to whatever your preferred podcast place is. Specifically, Spotify and Apple is where some of the easiest place to find it. Also, you can go to www.youtube.com/@mindmodelmasterysecrets and get a hold of the link and everything for those podcasts, so you can find that. Also, right now, Blair is offering a complimentary profiling session. This is something he normally charges for, and he charges a pretty penny for it. And it's great because this is an opportunity to have Blair listen to your language pattern, listen to how you think through things, how you just how you're thinking. And he basically can tell you quite a bit. And I've actually, I think almost everyone here on the Blair Dunkley Experience at one point or another had Blair profile them. And it is a really, really cool experience. And this is normally something Blair charges a pretty penny for. And he's actually doing it complimentary right now. So if you'd like to have an opportunity to meet with Blair, see some of the maybe the stuck states blind spots that you don't actually see, because it's hard to see your own blind spots. This is a great opportunity to meet with Blair and have that session. You can do that by going to www.linkedin.com/in/Blair Dunkley 1 and just let him know that you would like to have a complimentary profiling session. Also, you guys, I'm excited. I just got my hands on let's see, gotta focus. There we go. On this one, the Phobia Freedom Formula. It's Blair's new book that is out, and he has his book that he's had out for a little while, The Ultimate Mind Hacking. Both of these are available on Amazon and are such a great read and an opportunity, again, to just take that deeper dive into mind models. So if you go to Amazon, you can get your hands on both those books. They're great. We here at the Blair Dunkley Experience, we're a family. We love getting on and learning together and being able to take a deep dive into these mind models. And if you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you here live with us. Also, if you're on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. That way you can see all the episodes as they are released. And we love to see the comments that come through on YouTube. That way we can go back and comment as well. Keeps everybody engaged, and it's great. With that, tonight, this is episode 362. I want to personally welcome everybody to the Blair Dunkley Experience, episode 362, where let's see here, sorry.
I want to do one other impromptu announcement, if you don't mind, Tim.
Sure, go for it.
Well, I've been doing these personal podcasts based on the content of what we generate for like the show notes. And then in the show notes, I've got this week a complimentary Mind Model Minute or Mind Model Minutes podcast download that you can do. I don't have a podcast per se, but I have a link that you can pull it right off my Google Drive and listen to it. So it should be open for anybody with the link. And that's the cool thing. I'm going to share this in the notes here right now in the chat. And it's here. And it's another inducement that I'm going to be adding to the study guide, basically, as well. So those of you that get the study guide will be getting this as well. And I've got, I don't know, 10, 11 of these that I'll be putting back in there and maybe create just its own podcast. I'm thinking of doing a delayed version of and creating a Mind Model Method podcast, or sorry, Mind Model Minutes podcast. So anyway, just thought I'd share. Okay, go for it.
All right. That is awesome. As I mentioned before, I mean, when you get Blair's insider notes, he puts perks like these in there all the time. It's great stuff to take a deep dive into becoming more effective. With that, again, I want to personally and welcome everybody to the 362nd episode of the Blair Dunkley Experience, where we do discuss mind models. Mind models are a collection of extensively tested thought frameworks, skills, and behaviors that enable people to transform their lives intentionally. Your host for this evening is Blair Dunkley, the creator of the mind models. I am Tim Graff. I'm actually missing my other half. I normally get to say it's Tim and Becky Graff. My other half is currently facilitating a workshop for a bunch of entrepreneurs. So she's out being effective using her skills, which is awesome. I am the co-host for this evening, along with the amazing Patty McClurg, and we are both certified mind model coaches, as many of those who are here are on the Blair Dunkley Experience. As I mentioned before, we're kind of a community, and we love experiencing and growing together. The Blair Dunkley Experience is Blair's free gift to you and is an opportunity to hop on to learn, practice the mind models in a safe real-world environment. Mind models have impacted every part of my life. In business, they've made myself more effective and confident in what I'm doing. In my marriage with my beautiful wife, they actually helped resolve an 8-year issue that we had in our marriage in just a couple hours of learning these mind models and going through the mind model coach. And when my wife and I lost both of our daughters in a tragic accident in 2020, these tools gave us the strength to navigate the grief and PTSD and gave us the capacity to recover more quickly than we ever thought would be possible. My models have increased my effectiveness, my resilience, and my ability to keep moving forward without traditional counseling. And I am extremely grateful for Blair and the mind models. So with that, welcome everybody. And we look forward to learning with you tonight on the Blair Dunkley Experience. With that, I want to introduce the man, Blair. Take it away.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Great to hear the introduction there, Tim. Really appreciate it. So there are a lot of things we're going to be going through tonight. And as is up on Jane's background there, it's episode 362, The Why Hole. You know, which is a big freaking pit of despair frequently. It's not fun, but we're going to tackle that. So tonight, you know, when we go through this, Patty is a major word nerd. I hope that's appropriate. I know it's.
No, I call myself that, so you certainly
Okay.
are free to.
Okay, good. So anyway, so she puts in dictionary definitions frequently when we're putting these together, and tonight is no exception. So dictionary definition, and I like how this works. And it says intro to why, dictionary definition, for what reason, cause, or purpose. But I find that interesting because although the dictionary definition says that, the way that I did my research was I looked it up in the dictionary, and the way the why operates behaviorally is very different than the way what operates. And so getting that understanding, because whys generate reasons, excuses, rationalizations, and justifications, whereas what's generate a list of one or more things or events. These are not subtle differences. These are huge. So just wanted to make sure that people understand that. And we got to understand that the way we utilize our words, literally, like the meanings of words drive our behavior, and sometimes the behaviors of words drive the meaning. So why is one of those ones that the behaviors that we attach to them, because we have reasons, we have excuses, we have rationalizations, and we have justifications. And that's what people do with them. And they cause us to be defensive, and, lots of other stuff. Like we load our emotions first with a why, whereas we don't with a what. But it's fascinating to take a look at the whole thing here and notice where everything is. So, how do we use whys in our language? And hey, Shannon, do you mind if I pick on you a little bit tonight?
Right.
Okay, great. So, thinking about a why, what happens to you when you think about a why?
Like if someone were to ask me why
Why
something,
why something?
the first thing that happens is my mind empties out and I have like an emotional response.
And what kind of emotional response might that be?
Stress.
Is it frequently a concerned, or I guess generally a negative response, or is it more on the positive side?
It's a negative response. It almost, you can feel it almost kind of flood up in your body and then fog your brain a little bit. And it takes a minute to be like, wait, what am I actually doing?
And if you guys noticed, her management word for the why was a what. So she repositioned the why, which generally causes people to get defensive. And could you say that that's a common sensation?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And yet she now knows that if I'm getting those feelings, what happens when you use a what question post like behind why? What happens to you?
It forces me to get more specific. Whys are really general. And if someone hits me with one of two things will happen. I'll either react right away and it's a reaction that is general and emotional and ineffective, or if I'm really working on it, I can stop and like try to calm everything I that flooded up back down and then say, what is the real question here? I'll ask myself that a lot if I can identify it. Sometimes it hits you out of the blue and it just blindsides you, and all you can do is react, which is why I'm really interested for this one tonight.
Cool. So, Patty, I'm gonna draw you into this thing as well. And the why hole, rather C than B one. Do you want to do you want to jump in? You're moving up in your chair, so I guess you
Yeah,
know.
no, it's okay. I'm not sure what the actual question is, but when we were talking about the why hole, reminded me of an old poem that was frequently spouted when I was young, which is, I never saw a purple cow. I never hoped to see one, but I can tell you anyhow, I'd rather see than be one. And when I was thinking of the why hole, there is the why hole that you go down, which is sort of what my grandfather used to call the slough of despond. And then there's actually being a why hole for somebody else, which is triggering them. And that was my purple cow. I'm like, no, I'd rather see than be one. I don't want to be the person triggering someone else with a why, but I also don't want to be vacuumed into somebody else's why. So it can go both directions.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we do here is when we were building out tonight's sheets, you injected the construct of a black hole analogy. And go
Yeah,
ahead. Go.
that's okay. I did. I found this absolutely fascinating because I sometimes refer, I spent decades battling depression. And after finding my models, I worked with Blair for 12, basically 12 sessions. I did weekly for 2 months and then every other week for 2 months. And after 12 sessions, 1 hour sessions, I have never been back in the dark hole of depression. There are times when I peek over the edge. There are times when I circle the edge, but I haven't fallen in since working with Blair and having the mind models. It's been absolutely incredible, and I haven't needed any medication. So when I thought about that black hole, I thought I'd just look up and see what are the characteristics of a black hole. And one is this incredibly strong gravity that there's a center point where matter is crushed because of this gravity. And when you're in the why hole, everything gets sucked in. And there's this, it's just an incredibly strong pull. You're there before you even have a conscious awareness that you're there. Like Shannon was talking about, the emotions just go whoomp, and you're, in a way, it's very much a triggered kind of response. The second part of that was that nothing escapes from the black hole, not even light. And when you think about light and darkness, that hole of depression was a very dark place for me, and I couldn't find light in that space. And then you look at the black hole, and light does not escape from the black hole. Light doesn't enter the black hole. Nothing can escape from the black hole. Now, that's not the way we look at it with my models, because obviously I got out of the black hole. But to look at that and appreciate the fact that it's really challenging if you don't have the tools. If you don't have the tools, sometimes you get stuck there and you just go round and round and round in that vortex and get deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's not the way we want to live our lives, at least myself. I don't want to live like that.
Exactly. And, we also put down a roller coaster analogy. Like, a lot of people, when they're in that why, they're just, it's a climb, 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 climb. And then all of a sudden they get to that edge. Well, in your case, the event horizon, but in just the roller coaster analogy, then it's a free fall. You just get dropped and you lose control. You got your stomach in your throat. It's a horrible experience. And all of a sudden you have to find ways out of the whole scenario. Fortunately, tonight, that's exactly what we're going to be going through, is how do we start taking a look at whys so that we can manage our why and look at this in a different situation.
May I make a comment
Please.
there with the roller coaster thing? The black hole really worked for me as a visual for my depression journey, but I think the roller coaster works as a great visual for PTSD. When you're navigating post-traumatic stress, and you run into a trigger or a trigger ambushes you, that's when you start, your emotions are so far ahead of your brain, and then you get that incredible drop. Have you experienced anything like that, Tim?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting. I love the roller coaster analogy because it's almost, there are situations that come up in life where you get triggered, and it's almost like that emotion comes out of nowhere and blindsides you, and it just builds and it builds and it builds, and then you do feel like you're on that roller coaster and you're to the mercy of the whips and the loops and all the different ways it's gonna, throw you around. And then you have the free fall. And usually when you are done, when you get off that roller coaster, there tends to be this relief. And you find that while you were on there, you've said, done, or reacted in a way that was, so to speak, outside the normal of yourself. And so when those things happen, it just, those emotions overwhelm you. I've found myself in that type of a situation many times with the loss of my girls, where suddenly, I'm doing well, and I'll walk into a store and suddenly I see something or hear something, and I'm right back in the emotion. And it's interesting to me how quickly those emotions build. And if we don't have a process to work through them in the moment, it is like just being on that roller coaster ride. Those emotions will continue to compound on themselves, and then I'm just at the mercy of whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So
Tim, what mind models help you specifically work through that?
my favorite mind model that I come back to all the time is the self-situation other. I take a look at one of the first things that I ask myself is, where is this coming from? Where is the emotion? Is this coming from another? Is it the situation? Where am I in that? And then from there, I can go into the next mind model, which I like to look at, is safety versus comfort. Am I safe in this moment? Or is this just an emotional discomfort that has hit me out of nowhere? When I start asking myself those questions, myself, what can I control here? Is it the situation? Is it another that is causing those emotions and that trigger to hit? What was it? And then, am I safe? Am I just uncomfortable? And then at that point, I've already started, as Blair has mentioned before, I've started asking myself what is going on, and those what questions, which actually brings, because what a little neuroscience, when those emotions hit, our body goes into fight, flight, or freeze.
Yes.
And the blood floods the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of our brain. And we actually find ourselves, the thinking is very difficult. So when we start asking ourselves questions, it helps shift gears, so to speak, in the mind back into the prefrontal cortex. Yes, Blair.
I just want to correct that. The blood floods into the limbic system. So your emotions are magnified and amplified in that scenario. What happens is you get a prefrontal brownout. So your ability to actually think it through diminishes. So you're trapped in your emotional self until you use curiosity, because curiosity is the only emotion that I've been able to find that actually causes people to move from their limbic system, their emotional loading, into the prefrontal cortex and start breaking down those cognitive brownouts. Because the thinking that's there is going to be past-based thinking. It'll be why-based thinking. It'll be fight or flight, and it'll all be around you trying to keep yourself safe in those moments.
So just to clarify, Blair, it actually floods from the prefrontal to the limbic,
The
or the whole
prefrontal cortex starts draining, and if you
Okay.
look up, cognitive brownouts, or there's a thing of literally a medical term where your prefrontal cortex has a brownout. When they watch brains, literally the temperature, the blood flow, everything gets constricted and kept in the lizard brain, which is your ability to doing the fight, flight, or freeze, all of that. And it does go in here. This part of the brain here is your motor cortex. So that will be having blood in it so that you can fight or flee, that sort of thing. But it's primarily going to be going into your limbic system. And your limbic system is going to be all about your emotional, your amygdala, all of that is where it actually pumps into, and your ability to think goes way down. So,
Blair, when you're asking yourself these curiosity-based questions and starting to pull yourself back, would you say that that increases the circulation throughout the whole brain again and oxygenation to the system?
you got it right there.
Okay.
Like, I mean, this is the funny thing. When I've done my research, people literally go, I can't think right now because they're so angry, they're so upset. And when you back in the back of your head is also your visual cortex. Well, when people are super angry, they literally say, I see red when I'm that angry. Well, I don't know what it is, but you're seeing red. What's going on with that? It's in your visual cortex. Is that in your eyeballs? Might be. I don't know. I have not seen that, but I do know anecdotally that people frequently, when they're super angry, go, I'm seeing red. And it's a common saying when you're angry. So what's going on is the thing that I'm seeing. But when had to work through people who have anger management problems, then one of the things I'd like them to do, I just literally tell them, I ask them, can you please just put the word curiosity in your mind? Just say the word to yourself or out loud. Like, I want to be curious, or I'm curious, or just say the word repeatedly. Pardon me. Curious, curious, curious. And magic seems to happen in their brain when that happens. And it's like all of a sudden they're stress on their face. They're ready for a fight. That whole thing tends to fade. And all of a sudden they can start breaking through and asking questions. What's going on here is, what's happening? What's actually going on here? But notice it's not a why, it's a what again. And they just say that because now they're using a different neural pathway. Well, it is a different neural pathway around connecting the dots and putting all of that information in. So, hey, Jane, you've got a comment here?
Well, I was sitting there thinking because, many people think visually. And when you
Yes.
said that, could they sit, and I've been very angry before, but the visual thing that came into my head was I see red. Well, when we think about a picture of a cartoon with a bull, going after the red cape came into my
Right.
head, and I'm wondering, might it actually be a visual statement that has come from that context that people have taken in, and therefore they've decided to own that. That when a bull does the red cape thing, which who knows if they can actually see that color, but
Yeah,
they
exactly.
get angry and they come at you. Well, that's the cultural
At the
vision.
very least, cultural. It may be whatever.
Well,
But
I say cultural in that people might have taken that as a visual
cute,
context within their own mind
correct.
that, I'm so angry, I see red because of that reference.
Well, okay, so
It's a
that takes
topic.
me back to life skills and the research I was doing back then. The reality of the situation is I did query that, and I'd say I got at least a half a dozen solid um, people that were believable. They weren't upset at the time that they go, no, when I am that angry over the top, I literally see red. Like everything is through a fog of red that they're looking at.
Amazing.
And it's not like other people say, I see red, and it's metaphoric. Six of those people literally told me that it was real for them. They literally, it's like somebody put a red pane of glass and everything is red that they're looking through. Okay.
Physiologically, they see red. That's
Physiologically, they're seeing
interesting.
red.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's in the back of the brain or in the eyeballs or where the hell that is, but that's what I've been told. And I'm just reporting that back. Is that enough to have scientific data? No, I don't share that often, but that's the reality that I had to face because I had very angry people that were in there for anger management issues. And when they got that bad, and one of them was saying to me multiple times, don't get me mad enough so I see red because like I'm unstoppable at that point. And he's gone to jail and was arrested when he got to that point of seeing red. So it was very much of a warning sign for him emotionally. He wasn't upset with me. He wasn't threatening me. He was going, this is what happens. And these are the things. And I went, that's great because now you know what to stay away from.
Or help know that when you are getting to that point, the mind models are a choice that you might want to look at.
Exactly. And that's where curiosity got in there.
Mhm.
And he needed to practice asking what and how questions, not why questions, because why questions would the feed the devil here. It's like that black hole. It's like just, sucking it in to the advanced horizon and he's done, and then he's got to come out the other side somehow. Not quite sure. It took a while for him. It really did. Okay, with that, we need to move along here, I think. So, Shane, can I pick?
Patty,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Patty asked the question, what mind models do we use to work through
Okay, that's
the
exactly
why?
the same question I
Okay.
was going to ask Shane. So you can
Okay,
go ahead.
cool. Yeah. So, as Patty mentioned, we can use the mind models to get ourselves out of the why, to recognize the why when it happens. There's so many mind models that we go through and we talk about, and we each have our different processes and ways to go through them. I shared a couple that I go to, which is self, situation, other, safety versus covered, and then I was going to mention the other one is then I start describing what I'm feeling, which is important because if you can start describing what you're feeling in the moment, again, it just brings that information in and it helps shift. The cool thing about the mind models is with the what's, the whys, the hows, there's not like a right or a wrong way to do this, leaving judgment out of it. It really is just about shifting your mind into, um, an effective process to bring that thinking part of your brain back online.
Can I throw a
Shan-
question out there
Sure.
really quick? So I'm mentally picturing a specific situation, but this has happened multiple times over my life where, I mean, intellectually, I've been doing this for like 6 years, 7 years now at this point. Intellectually, I know describing my feelings is a great idea. But when someone hoodwinks you with some like pie right in the face, and you get that body reaction, and all you want to do is a knee-jerk response right back at them, I don't have the time to sit there and describe my feelings. So what do? I'm just playing with that. Like if something happens, like let's say I get a, upsetting email or a phone or a voicemail, I can hit the pause button, recognize that in myself and take a moment before I reply. That's different than real time knee jerk reaction. This is happening now. And so
Mhm.
there's a lot of different situations that why can come in, but that's one specifically that I struggle with that I was thinking maybe we could talk about.
Absolutely. So there are a couple of things. Yeah, gee, I wasn't very astute because I should have been thinking when we were doing this prep work, Patty, bringing in more of my anger management background and tools. Okay, so do you want to be a little bit of a guinea pig here, Shannon, and let me
Sure.
work on you a bit? Great.
Absolutely.
So, do you yet have an understanding that when somebody is about to throw that Y-pie, that they're about to throw the Y-pie?
Depending on the person and how familiar I am with their tells, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I've had both.
Okay. What I have found, if I can fill you
Or
in,
how present I am, to be fair. If I'm
thank
not
you. That's
present,
exactly the first thing that I was going to go after. So if you can discern you and stay on top of how present
mhm.
you are, when you are present, you are far less susceptible to the whys.
Okay, so here's the question. Is it presence or is it vigilance? Because when I'm having a relaxing call with a friend of mine and I don't expect Wi-Fi in the face, and all of a sudden some really inflammatory content gets pulled out, and that is not at all what I saw coming. Like I was relaxed. I wasn't vigilant. So are we talking about presence or are we talking about vigilance?
No, we're talking
Alertness.
about being calmly present, okay, and mastering your own sense of self.
Okay.
So this is going to be not requiring, when you get there, the issue here is being able to develop that self-confidence so that you stay with who and what you know yourself to be, especially with
This,
those. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and this is how, for me personally, this is how come I go to self situation other first, right off the bat. I have found that if I go there first and I check in with self and then the situation another, and it took some practice. There were those moments where the Wi-Fi came out of nowhere, and I still have those issues. Becky and I have found, just to put this out there real quick, there are certain, with self situation other, there are certain situations where there's a high probability
Mm-hmm.
that will be triggered, and so we kind of prepare for it before we go into the situation. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But also, I've found that when I kind of prep and I'm present going into those where it's a high probability, it I'm prepared for it, and it doesn't come out of nowhere. And I've also found that when it does come out of nowhere, I'm better prepared in those moments because I've done the prep work before, and it took some time. But I love where Blair is going with this, because that's how come I personally go to self situation other, is because it's like that. What is my control here? Where am I? What situation other? And I can immediately start processing. And for me, it happens in a split second, so that I don't get triggered. I don't go into that reactive state.
Yeah.
So
Now,
sorry, Blair. Just wanted to
no,
put that
no
out there.
worries. No, great stuff. I want to build on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with a young man in Austria today, my client, and he's 24, managing director of a $200 million agricultural complex in Austria with 140 employees. Now, one of the things that we started taking a look at is how can he figure out when he's working with an employee or 50 of them, how can you stay on top of this stuff and on top of yourself without burning all kinds of energy trying to track everything all at once? Okay. It's about listening to where people are coming from. Okay. So their discussion, and you look at it in terms of how are they framing their stuff. And if you're listening to the content, just the content of what they're saying, not how they're saying it, you will get banged up by Y-pies and Y-holes and everything else in between. However, if you listen to how they're saying it, their tone pivots, they start going into the past, and they go into something that is not in their perceived control, and they start pointing the finger at others, if not you. And that's where, for me, I'm going to be building on self-situation and others a little bit here, Tim. And one of the things here is I go to others in that context, and I go, is that person, other than, I'm the self, and they're supposed to be in self, but are they in self or other? And I can hear that in their language. And when I hear that, immediately I go, whoa, warning. This is their language telling me that I'm potentially in their sights for a Wi-Fi. Okay.
So Blair, that other that you're talking about in what you're listening to, content-wise, that other.
Actually, I want to reframe that. That other is not content. It is going to be context.
Okay, the other is context, but that other, when you're listening, and
The other is somebody else other than yourself.
right, the other is somebody else. So if I'm in self and I'm looking at this other person, if they are in self, they're not going to be as emotional. How do you know when somebody else is in self or if they're in another place? What do you listen for?
That's where remember back when we did the whole thing on different feelings, the two different types of feelings?
Yes.
One's a what feeling and what's a why feeling.
Okay.
Okay, so they will be stating things that are what feelings, and their why feelings will be, which is story based, will be tailing behind and fairly small. Like it'll be about 3/4 to 1/4, 3/4 what effort and energy, and 1/4 on story. But when it starts creeping up to like 2/3 what, and then a why story starts loading up, and as that why story grows, I just go, okay, um, I don't really brace for it at all. I go, okay, I know where they're coming from. It's not about me. It's their venting. They're getting pissed off, yada, yada, yada. And it's their issue. So it's not me. Even though it may be exactly using my name and you and are just like everybody else who doesn't do all of this stuff. And I go, well, am I exactly just like everybody else? Even marginally just like everybody else? Or are they just really upset? They're just really upset. And so I can let that slide. I can let it go by me. I don't have to react to it at all necessarily. In fact, a lot of the time, I feel like I play mental, jujitsu or mental karate with these people, martial arts, where it's just moving your body ever so slightly to let all that energy go zipping right past you, and it doesn't land on me. Now, the issue with that is when it's not landing on me, they frequently up the emotion to try and direct it at me, and they get even more upset. because I'm not getting upset. And that's where I learned about matching and mirroring, and how matching and mirroring is so important at that, where I increase my tone and I sound angry while I'm actually saying positive words. So I'm not being mad at them. I'm usually, hey, really good job telling me how you're feeling right now. Really good job. And they go, like, it shakes them, and they go, I like that disconnect is the thing that sort of fries their brain, but it captures them in a way that they go, okay. They can hear it because I'm saying it with the same intensity that they told me, but they were attacking me. You jerk, Blair, you're not actually listening to me. You don't really care. And I said, you know what? That's really good of you to be able to identify that clearly. That's good work. Well done. What the hell just happened with that? And that just baffles people. A lot of the time, it works extraordinarily well because I've matched them with their level of intensity, but I'm giving them positives where they were giving me negatives. Okay.
So with
Go ahead.
this, and I wrote down earlier, it goes into the control versus influence. You're not trying to
Absolutely.
control them. You're just trying to influence positivity there. And then
Well, also,
Tim,
when they're in their why, they want to be understood.
Mhm.
So I give them the understanding with tone, but not with meaning and not with context and content. I changed that because then it would just turn into an argument.
Mhm.
But if I don't give them the context or the content to be argumentative, and I don't need to defend myself, but their brain is expecting me to attack. So I make it sound like it's an attack, but with positive words. And that just tends to de-escalate very rapidly.
Mhm. Yeah. And also, I love Shannon's Y-Pie. That's got to be a key Blair Dunkley word phrase now. Y-Pie.
Well, I was trying to determine the difference because there's like why can come into so many different parts of our life.
No kidding.
And it can come from within ourselves. It can come from out of the left field. It can be like it's the gravitational hole. I mean, the motel from last week, you can just check in and decide you're staying. Like it can be a situation. There's so many different places that it can come from that it just, and I had a recent experience with just right there. And it's not, you know, a great feeling when it catches you off guard. I managed at the time. Now that you're speaking, I did increase my tone a lot, and the way back for me was I triggered to humor, and I increased my tone. I triggered to humor, and then went back to who I am and what I know about myself. And I stated those things because it was a personal attack, and I stated those things with confidence. And at that point, there was nothing left to argue with. So
Exactly.
it's just, it was really interesting to hear you say, like, to go through. I was like, oh, unconsciously, I did a little bit of that, a little
Yep.
bit of that. So is it possible, Blair, you were saying that, like, to listen to how they're saying it, are they in self or are they in other? Can someone be in a situation?
I thought I'd just share the
Yeah. Yeah.
Y Hotel or the Y Hole Hotel post that Colin started us on in putting these things together. So
Yeah.
it's like it's so bad, it's good. Always open, never full. No better option exists. 100% certain you can't go wrong because finding a better option sounds exhausting. Come should on yourself. Why not stay forever?
Oh man.
Okay. So that's a little something to pay attention to.
Mm.
I'll share a few of these. We're also next week, just a little bit of that. We're going to be going into more of the what I would refer to as the why repellent. So, and here's a poster for that.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously generated with AI because the hand on this guy's backwards. But other than that, absolutely.
Mm.
And then there's a couple here that's also here. And there we go. And people are living this.
Mhm.
If your why isn't big enough to make you cry, it's not big enough. And that's just crap. So, we're going to just quickly pop back to here and do the last one here. And the why monster. Just add water. Takes over your whole life. Blocks all progress. Makes sure nothing ever gets better. Your why will grow so big it will make you cry. From tiny excuse to towering terror.
Oh, that's good.
The why monster. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, guys. Shannon, sorry, I sort of jumped on your parade there. So
I was just wondering if it's possible for someone, we were talking about people speaking from self and people speaking from other. Is it possible for someone to speak from a situation?
absolutely.
Would that be more of a why thing then too?
Well, think about it. Like, what are they telling you when they're talking about the situation?
High story. So if the other is maybe, a 2/3, 1/3 situation, that would be upping the ante a little bit more then to like higher story content and
Well, actually, this one, that when they're into full-blown situation stuff,
mm-hmm.
it can be upwards to 100%.
Okay.
And they don't get into what they just go at you with the whole situation. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do this to myself. Everybody's doing this to me. It's all them out there. Everything. Why do they do this? Why don't they understand? Why can't they see me? Why can't it be like everybody is doing this all the time? And I go, oh, so I'm trying to understand exactly. You can't understand. This, like, they want to understand. Why doesn't anybody understand? Then they go, well, fill me in. And they literally tell me what you want me to understand. And they turn around and say, you can't understand. You've never been in my situation. And I go, yeah, I never have. Well, quit trying to be in my situation because you can't understand. But I can't ever get anybody to understand me. That's just not right. Well, they don't recognize that they're holding on, like, black hole type of stuff. They're down so far that they can't see somebody reaching out and trying to help.
Oh.
And all they do is blame everybody else for their scenario. That's it. They can't change. They won't change. Well, and the cool thing here is it's possible to change, but as Henry Ford said brilliantly, if you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. It's just that simple at the end of the day, and that difficult. This is a very simple thing to say and very hard to execute. If you have the mind models, you can start pivoting and noticing things way earlier than going down these rabbit holes or black holes of a Y hole. Shane.
I've heard that saying, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, either way, you're right.
Yep. Same difference. Same
Yeah,
thing.
same thing.
Yep. So these are truths that we have. So next week, we're going to be going into a bit more of the why and more of the repellent, how to defend against defense against the black arts. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, next week. We touched on a little bit of it, but this one was just going in to recognize the challenge, the depth, the all-consuming nature of the why hole. So anyway, um, join us next week and find out how to have our repellent working for us effectively. So,
Well, I think we'll shift then. I'm going to do something a little bit different with the wrap up, guys. So, yeah, the why repellent.
next
But do
week,
something a little bit different with the wrap up, okay?
go for it.
I think all of us have been in a why at some point. Is that fair, guys? Yes, everybody's been there, done that. Okay. So I want you to share one win that you've had getting yourself out of a why. Just share one win you've had getting yourself out of a why. And then from there, what you've taken home from today and this number from 1 to 10. So, starting place. Tim, could I start with you?
Sure. Wow, my head is so many situations. I'm gonna go to one I may have shared before. I Blair's heard it. I think you've heard it as well, Patty. But I had a situation not too long after the tragic accident with my girls. Becky and I were using the mind models. We had gone through. We had been mind model certified. We had the mind models as tools to pull out of our belts, and they saved our butts from the Y pie when our worlds literally blew up in front of our face when we lost our girls. And we were relying very heavily on the mind models to, just do the basic things of getting up and moving every day and not letting the emotions consume us. And working very effectively with each other, using the mind models on each other, asking each other questions, how are you feeling? Like just really taking a deep dive, not only personally, but with each other with the mind models and working very hard. Um, it was noticeable for those that were around us, family. I had my father call me one day and he was upset, totally in a complete why, throwing Y pies at me like crazy. He was mad. And I was like, hold on 2 seconds. What's going on? What is, how come you're so upset? I don't understand how I am beside myself with the situation with losing the girls. He's grandpa. I cannot function. I'm emotionally beside myself. I'm a wreck. Like, how are you guys doing this? How are you functioning? How are you upright? How are you going to these things? How are you doing this? You are their parents and you're still functioning. You're you're getting up and you're doing all these things and you're moving through this really well, he said. I am like, how are, and he just emotional, just started flinging at me. Like he was mad at me, at my wife, because we were handling it so well. And I just listened. I listened to him. And much like what Blair shared earlier, I just started asking him questions back and walking him through a mind model process that I had used on myself with my wife and I. And it actually de-escalated his emotions and brought him down. And I had to chuckle a little bit because at the end of the call, he goes, and this was, I think, his way of deflecting all the effective, the deflation that he felt if you will, of that emotion. But he kind of went, "Oh, so positive thinking is great," and he just kind of hung up on me, and I was like, "Okay, that's what you want to call it." Um, but I was aware that what was actually going on was I had the mind models, I had skills, I had a way to think, a what and a how to move through the worst time of my life. And so I'm just, and Blair's heard this many times, but I'm forever grateful for what I've learned here for the mind models and being able to work through these why states when they happen. And we get triggered often, you know, um, and I use these mind models on a regular basis. So, uh, my win is just being able to pull those tools out when needed, quick in the moment, almost like Billy the Kid with his guns here. I've just got those tools right there ready to go quit any situation that arises. And I've gotten quicker, as I mentioned in the intro. It has helped our speed of recovery and our effectiveness in a big way. So, um, and I'm grateful to recognize the why. And I love that we're going into the why, because there's so much why going on in the world right now. And I think people really need to understand that they're holding themselves stuck by being in this place of the why hole. So I'm glad that we're going into the why. And yeah, today's
your takeaway
nine.
today?
Yeah, it's a 9.5 for me today.
Great.
So
Thanks.
I appreciated you talking about self-situation other and going deeper in that, Blair. So
Yeah, great. Jane, would you like to share and then participate in wrap up?
Yes, I'm trying to
Do you have a win to
remember.
share?
I'm trying to get my 7-second short-term memory to remember the format here.
Or just to share a win, some way that you have
Okay.
recovered from a
Well,
why.
my first thought is, the lifeline thing. Um, phone a friend kind of thing. It's usually, and I'm so grateful for the mind models now that it is part of not just my tool belt, but my family's tool belt. That if I start to go into the why, one of them will come back and say, "You're sounding very well. You're general right now. If you get more specific, you might see more clearly." Or they'll do the sounds like you're in a past future loop here. They'll call me out on it. So my big thing on if I start to find myself there, and I can do that on my own as well, but I realize self-other situation really is a great one to keep in a tool belt, because when you can look at a situation when someone's speaking to me and they're the ones that's triggered, and it's because they have their own wants and their desires, when I can pull it down to self-other situation, well, let's look at how the other person might feel or where they're at or whatever, and it stops being all about them, then they can see, oh, what might I do differently? Well, I might not look at it from just me. And so I, I think the self-other situation is slowly becoming one of my favorites, like
Interesting.
Tim says, because if I can put that self-other situation somehow in the mix, I can usually go, it's not all about me, or it's not all about them. And if they can,
It
back
sounds
down from
like you're using self-other situation as a real clarifier.
exactly.
So
Really
then
go
you can use
specific
your
and
other
get
tools.
clarity in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
So,
What did you take out of today?
oh golly, got to get me a can of that Y repellent.
Yes,
I,
we're going more into why repellent next week, but yeah.
I'll give it a 9, because it's always a great reminder to stay out of the why loop, or the
Yeah.
why hole, or the whatever you guys want to call it. And for me, I'm still learning on when I think why, and it's not really a why, it's a what. And if I can just boil it down to get clear on what
Mhm.
is really going on, that's it. Rather than, and I can also do from listening tonight, I can go, oh, when that happened, I was allowing myself to get sucked into that black hole
Yeah.
when I
Tremendous
could have.
pull.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's
And
got
so,
almost a tangible pull to it.
well, and recognizing,
Mhm.
and as Shannon was talking about, where am I now?
Right. And
And
that goes back to the ANANPU, the
mhm,
awareness notice process understanding that we spent so much time on
right.
a couple weeks ago. So
So
thanks, Jane.
it's a process. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Shane, do you have a win that you can share with us?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole Blair Dunkley experience has helped our whole family from early on, but then since Chrissy and I both become certified mind model coaches, it's really helped, like Jane said, our whole family with those, my accident in the middle of the summer, the son-in-laws went into a why this happened now? We've got all this work to do. What are we gonna, why? And I'm like, hey, it happened. We're moving on. What might I do about that? And I hear I hear Becky's voice. What might you do about that? What
Yeah.
else? So now you get resourceful and you just start listing out things. Okay, you guys, well, we're gonna have our neighbor's name's Tony Walker, and we call him Tony Walker, Texas Ranger, and he come over he come over and helped us mow for a couple days to get us over the hump anyway, it's just those things that it got us resourceful in the middle of chaos, in the middle of a situation that most people and before Blair Dunkley, I would have been the same way. I'd have been in the dumps and depressed and got all this work ahead of us and can't do nothing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, very good resource to have in your back pocket to pull out. I'll give tonight a 9. I'll take out of what I took away from today is the mind model stacks that everybody else uses. A lot of self situation other. I went with control versus influence, and then real versus reality.
Oh, yeah.
Is this guy coming at me? Is this a real thing, or is this a story he's making up, or what is it? And ask those questions. So very, very positive. Thank you.
Great. Christy, are you able to hop on? Do you not want to hop on?
No, I'm here. I've been available to one of my kids too, so I didn't want to get
Okay.
things. But
Would you like to participate, share a win, and then
yeah.
give us your wrap up?
So a win for me is at times I find myself in that why state. And even though sometimes I think I need days to figure it out, I can choose not to stay there because of the mind model. So even though it makes me grumpy that I can't stay there because I know that I can choose the mind models to pull me back out. So it is a very big win because it helps me to be able to move forward, which is a lot also of what I got out today, is that these all of these mind models are so great to have, like Shane said, in the back pocket as far as being able to pause in situations and be able to for me just know that I have these resources that I can use. And at the very beginning when I first jumped in and started being a part of Blair, I was like, oh my gosh, my mind was exploding. Like it seems like so much. And now it's like I don't know what I would do without them because they all coincide so much with each other that they're so different, but yet they go together so well. And so it's so nice to be able to have them, to use them in all aspects. And just a really good reminder too of being in the present really reduces anxiety for me about the future, and it reduces regrets about the past for me. So staying here allows me to figure out my process and my pattern and whatever I need to be able to move forward and not backwards. So big 9.5 for me.
Well done, you.
Thank you.
So what number would you give it tonight?
9.5.
9.5. Thank you.
Also, can I say a little side note real quick?
Certainly.
I don't know, because last week, I don't know, we had our 7th grandbaby.
Oh, you
She'll
did.
Yeah, she'll be 2 weeks old tomorrow. So I'm
Okay.
helping with that mama a little bit on the side.
Congratulations.
So anyway, yeah, so that was so exciting. So okay, thanks.
Well,
Is
congrats.
she
Yeah,
close enough that you can
congratulations.
see her?
No, she's our farthest one away,
Oh,
but it's okay. We talk a lot, and so anyway, thank you. And I'm very glad to be back in here.
well, it's wonderful to have you back. And congratulations, Grandma.
Thank you.
So, Shannon, can you share a win with us and participate in wrap up tonight?
Yes, absolutely. My win has kind of a question to it because I'm gonna go back to what I chatted with us all about earlier, which was my phone call, my Wi-Fi phone call. And I did, after listening to Blair talk about um like the mental martial arts and mirroring and matching and a lot of that, like I can see pieces that my unconscious competent was pulling from, and I did navigate the conversation effectively, and their tone eventually softened and came back and ended in a very pleasant way. So that whole thing I think was a win. But the thing I struggle with, and I'm really curious if anyone has anything to say about, I tend to feel it all in my body. Like I take it in. One of my first like things that I learned from here is to notice what my body is feeling as a way of gaining information about my situation. And I can feel, and when I was done, I was like, okay, I did that. And I'm really proud of myself for how I handled that. But I just felt icky. I was like, I'm icky and stressed out now. How do I make it stop? Like it was over and I did it, but it lingered. And so some of that, like, I don't know if that just is like time to get it like processed, like let the body process, the stress chemicals out, or if there is another, yes. But if there's anything else that anyone has to say, if anyone else has experienced that and what they might have to say about that, or if maybe that's next week.
It's a little
Blair,
bit
I'm going to throw this into your court.
okay. So it's a little bit into next week, but it's going to be, I like Jane saying, you need an emotional shower. I get it. Well, one of the things that I used to do at Life Skills College is ask my coaches who would be working with students, who would be doing all the Wi-Fi things and everything else. And then I just say, who owns the problem?
I did ask myself that.
Good. Now, one of the things that a few of them said to me, you know what, Blair? When I put you asking me that question in my head, as opposed to me asking it of myself, for some reason, I'm somehow much more honest with my answer when I hear your voice in my head.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can you can borrow that from their playbook until you get to master it yourself.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's really, I really appreciated too, Tim, what you said. You said that you've gotten quicker at it. And one of the things that when you said that, I was reminded of is practice. And I have had 5 abdominal surgeries over the past like 12 years. And so one of the things I've had lots of practice at is dealing with this particular process at this particular hospital repeatedly. And this last time I went through the whole process, pre-op appointments, anesthesia, the doctor, like everybody, the day of, all of it. And I remembered I analyzed where my triggers were from 4 years ago, and I made a plan. And then I can tell you 100% win success. I had absolutely no like stress or like why reactions or any of those feelings through the entire 3-day pre, during, and post experience when I was there. I was fully present with myself. I even had the gal who did my anesthesia intake remembered me not only from 2021, but from 2017. And she looked at me at the very end and she's like, I can tell you've done a lot of work on yourself. You should be very proud. And that was I sat there and I went outside and I blew bubbles because I was like, all right, we can do this. But like, it is the idea that we can practice dodging these large explosions of emotion or situations that people bring to us, even if it's a different situation or a different other or a different whatever. It's still the same process to practice putting yourself through. So that, like, when you were talking about that, Tim, it made me think of the surgery experience, because it is true. Every time I've done that, I have improved in my self-confidence and in what questions, focusing on curiosity and how to ask. And I learned so many interesting things about who's in charge of what and different things. Like, it was really fascinating. And people were literally going out of their way to fill me in on like dirty little secrets of hospital things, and like, oh, well, if you have this problem, this is who you want to ask. And it was all from coming from that perspective of curiosity and self-confidence behind all that. So that's my little bow for the day, because one is like a win-win. The other was like, I did need the shower after, but it was still a win. So there.
Nice.
9.5 tonight.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much.
And
Blair.
if I can,
Oh,
if
yeah,
I may
go
share,
ahead.
just real quick to your question, Shannon, for me, that's where describing feelings comes in, that icky, like emotional feeling after.
Okay.
I've noticed that for me, it works if I start describing my feelings,
Okay.
what I'm actually feeling, where I'm feeling it. It helps
Okay.
to, and even saying it out loud, like
Okay.
sharing with Becky or with somebody or just talking to myself, it externalizes that emotion and that ickiness. It's almost like taking that emotional shower. At least that's how, describing feelings works that way for me. So
No, that
just put that out
actually
there.
makes more sense in my head for like in terms of a process flow of where I would put describing feelings, because it's hard. Oh, and I forgot to say, this whole entire time I kept hearing Jackie's voice in the back of my head saying to remember, when we're talking about the brain, to remember to breathe deeply. And then when we're asking ourselves questions, to ask, where am I? So I had to put that in there for Jackie. But shoot, I just forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, yes, that's great. I lost my train of thought, but
No
there we
worries.
go.
Well, if the train pulls into the station, give me
Oh
a
no,
high
it did.
sign.
Yes.
Okay.
That makes it makes
That's a
more
quick train.
sense to do the describing feelings for me as like a personal wrap up to help myself resolve the situation than like right after something happens. Sometimes I'm a little too flustered and I'll just shove myself right back into the hole if I start talking about my feelings. Oh, but yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Tim, did you finish? Did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Blair, would you like to share a win and then give us your wrap up?
Sure. Well, I'll share a situation too. The I've gone through a lot lately with, you know, my health struggles, um, my cancer, my hip replacement, my 2.5 year relationship ending, and then recently finding out that within 6 weeks of that ending, even though I wanted to continue and get a closer, potentially get married or live together or something like that, that my former girlfriend is already engaged, like 6 weeks or so after we broke up. And no, she wasn't cheating on me at the time. People say that, but the guy, she didn't know, and he was in Montana and we're in Canada. So it's the states people. I called her a traitor actually when she told me, but I was kidding, but I'm not kidding all at the same time. Anyway, long story short here is you get triggered by situations. It's not about staying perfectly balanced all the time. The mind models are not designed that way. They're designed for rapid recovery. That's what they're meant to do because life will throw these hand grenades at you, and you got to be able to handle them. Um, and you can't always avoid them. So that's it. You have to go through this. But with the mind models, it's about speed of recovery and resilience. That's what it's all about. And that's where I designed all of these to be focused on speed of recovery and resilience. With that, I like tonight in a lot of ways. Tim, Patty, thank you for jumping in, redirecting. I liked doing it collectively like this, the way that we did it together. I thought that was extremely effective. So for me tonight, it's all like a good 9.5. So thank you.
Thank you. Blair, I'm curious with your win and what you have survived this recent time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot.
What mind models did you use that gave you that?
Okay,
Just
so
a couple.
I was going through a lot of the different mind models here. And, one of the key things is the describing feelings, naming and labeling, getting to the present, and then noting that describing feelings started with the negative feelings, but naming and labeling and describing feelings that were the positive, effective feelings that I'm doing now, and recognizing how I want to pivot so I can stay out of fear, out of loss, because we didn't get into fear, but fear is the mind model is FEAR, future events appearing real. And that mind model, when you recognize it and you start living through that, and you get to, I had a discussion with somebody recently, and maybe it was you, Tim, I forget, but it was about what is and acceptance.
Yep.
There's a big difference between what is and acceptance. And the what is that I defined or described, and I've seen it in the last few days with myself. It's my ability to choose my behavior in terms of what am I and what do I wish to do and what is my path forward? What is it that I want to do? What is my is? And how do I want to manage my life? And all of a sudden, from feeling out of control to feeling completely focused and in control and doing these things that I need to do for me. And recognizing, like I've shared here before, I'm getting into trading, day trading with stocks and futures. But the what is of it and getting the mental clarity of just figuring out a process inside myself and knowing that when I do things that are identifiable, repeatable, and duplicatable, and I make those things happen, I feel better. I'm waking up, I'm shifting myself, I'm getting myself to the point again. Well, okay, hip surgery made it challenging even for me to make my own bed. But I'm now back to making my bed in the morning every morning. That's it. It's not optional. And, it is functionally doing that thing. I'm doing my minimum of 30 minutes of exercise every day, and I'm doing at least one lap around my building. And
Blair,
that lap
can I interrupt you
around
for
my
a
building
second?
is 600 meters, so almost like 2/3 of a kilometer. Sorry, go ahead, Patty.
That's okay. I wanted to interrupt you for a minute. I wanted people to notice how often you're using the word do. That you're doing this, you're doing that. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. And doing the thing is part of recovery from a why, is you do something, and then you do the next thing, and you do the next thing, and you do the next thing. So
There is no room left for the why to manifest itself in my life, to manipulate my mind, my emotions, because I can always go back in and evaluate and have strong, absolutely factual, externally verifiable evidence. I'm not trapped in my fears, in my worries, in my disappointment, that my life didn't turn out exactly the way I was hoping it would for 2 out of the 2.5 years I was, in a relationship with somebody that I would have liked to have spent my life with. And now it doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like that's what was. This is what is. Go forward and figure out where you want to go. It hasn't diminished my life. It hasn't limited my life. It has provided me with an opportunity to see my life as possibilities that I get to choose. And I'm back in control.
That's exciting. Thank you
That
so
is,
much, Blair.
yeah.
So for me, my win, it's one thing we haven't talked about this week. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. But for me, my win initially when I was when I was stuck in depression, my biggest win was asking for help, knowing that I needed to learn something new. I needed something new, something different to add to my life. And for me, that was my models. And learning those and asking for help
Yeah.
was my big win. My process that I go through with all the little and moderate things in my life, that I move very, very quickly now from what is to acceptance. And then the 3 E's, what's effective, this, what do I do next? Can I see this from the outside, or is this all in me? And I move through those very, very quickly now because of practice, which is what Shannon was mentioning. And Tim mentioned that too, just the practice, so incredibly valuable. So for me tonight, it was a 9. I do want to remind you all that you on YouTube, if you can subscribe, if you're listening to us, to subscribe or like on YouTube. We do have Blair's Insider Notes, all the historical and ongoing notes, $25 a month, $300 a year from episode 318 and onward. We have the Phobia Freedom Formula book and the Mind Model Mastery podcast, Monday and Thursday. On Thursday is an extension of what we do on Tuesday. Monday is its own topic, but this Thursday, if you're intrigued by what we're doing here, Blair will have more of that and expand on that on Thursday. Let's see, the Mind Model Minute was new to me, but I do want to mention that.
Yeah.
Blair did put that link in the chat. I don't know how to tell the people on YouTube for that one. Can they search Mind Model Minutes
Not yet,
podcast?
but you know
Not
what
yet?
I might try and do right now is just post that.
Do you want, I don't know how for it to be for the people watching on YouTube though.
Chat. I'm just throwing it in the chat and seeing if that shows up, and it does.
Oh, great.
And Brent was
that,
on. Hey, Brent, you were on and missed, but hey, you're here.
Oh my
So,
goodness, Brent. Yes. We
yep.
had to start without you, buddy.
Yeah. Well,
It
he
was
told us to.
weird, just saying.
Yep.
Anyway, Brent joined us on YouTube, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yep.
So, lots and lots of offerings that Blair has out there. His profiling on LinkedIn, his Mind Model Minutes, Mind Model Mastery podcast, the YouTube channel, lots and lots of things for you to learn and grow as a person. And the material is very, very rich. So we are here every Tuesday night. You're very welcome to hop on and join us, or just listen if you want to get to know us a little better.
Can I ask a
9
question real
o'clock
quick?
Eastern Time,
Should
8
we
o'clock
have the
Central Time, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, and 6 o'clock Pacific Time.
should we have the link for this Zoom in the chat or in the comments on YouTube? So if somebody is watching YouTube, they can hit that link next Tuesday and join us?
That would-
It is on my page here,
Okay.
but you're right. I don't have it. Yeah, I can do that. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's great, Jane. Thank you for that. I'm not clever with tech. I don't know what's possible or what to ask for people to do. So I appreciate you filling that hole, Jane. Thank you so much. Okay, so with that, I think we will see you all next week. And next week, we counter Y with the dark, counter the, what is it? Counter the dark arts of Y, whatever. We're doing something with inoculating ourselves against a why world. So good stuff next week. And we'll look forward to seeing you all then. You take care. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.